Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to the 37th episode in the Crush Cash Game series. As always, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate that. And if you haven't checked out enhanceyouredge.com and signed up to my newsletter, I appreciate that as well. I hope you all have had a good couple of weeks. Sorry, I did not make a video last week. I know I should have, and there was a lot of sickness going around. I just couldn't fit it in. So my apologies, and hopefully this week makes up for it. And I know that I'm going to go see Star Wars very soon, and I'm excited. It's like minus in 2 hours I'm going. I'm pretty pumped. The Ace Queen, just gonna go bet for value versus the villain. Jack is actually not a very good card. Don't think I'm gonna really fold out any Ace X's. He does have a fair amount of Jack X's in his range, so no real reason to bet there. Just checking and hoping to win at showdown. He did miss quite a bit of value by not raising the turn with his King 4. If he's gonna pay off a river bet always with the King 4, and he should just be raising the turn, hoping to get calls out of Ace Queen, Ace 10. Gonna be, I guess he does have a fair amount of like Queen 10 in his range when he raises us, but we do have some hands that can call a check raise, that are strong enough to call. Looks like we got 4 tables running, a 600 at the top left, the rest 400s. Looks like there's some short stacks lurking around, but nothing major. The ace tray of spades, we could raise. You could make an argument for raising with our back doors, repping diamonds if they come in. Going to be hard for him to really continue in a big little board like that. I think he's going to see bet at a high percentage of the time, so I think a raise with the ace tray is probably better than just giving up. Have to say, I've been streaming on Twitch lately. My ID is twitch.tv/enhanceyouredge. Me and a friend have been streaming and really liking the experience. It's been going well. I love the interaction. Gonna start doing it with more regularity. The 9-10. Calling out of position, I think, is going to be fine. I kind of expected the villain to bet this turn, thinking that we can peel with a lot of hands like 7-8, 7-9, Ace-7, and has a fair amount of fold equity. So if I feel like he's going to be betting light, check raise is gonna work out pretty well. The river overbet, I kind of have to go back and let's look at the let's think about the turn here. Oops. Here's a turn. He bets 32. We raise him to 112. With his 2 pair, with his value hands, it feels likely that actually, with looking at the King 4 hand in retrospect, even a hand like Aces probably doesn't shove. going into the river. The river's a pretty good one. It's a 5, which connects even 8-9. Puts forward a straight up, makes the board scary. What hands can we really have that have taken this line and gotten a showdown that are bluffs? So I do think that the overbet is a pretty high percentage play, even if he has aces. It's kind of a very it's a gross spot to be in if you're him. I don't know if he does fold him. He's not living life. If he does call, he's kind of puke calling. I would say if we don't get a good river card, likely to just give up. The 5 felt like intuitively a card we need to be putting some heat on that card. And that's one thing that is going to be a pretty big deal when you're looking at maximizing your win rate, figuring out the spots to bluff on the river, where our range just crushes villain's range, and it's very hard for us to show up with a bluff. Spots like that are just extremely profitable to bluff at, but easy to kind of go overboard and just spaz and try to bluff all the time. You have to really find a good balance. You have to rein yourself in, and then you strike. The Jack 8 felt like villain could be 3-betting us light. It's not good enough to call a 3-bet with out of position. So when a hand is not really good enough to call a 3-bet with out of position, but you don't feel like folding, 4-bet bluffing is going to be the right play. And there are a bunch of things to take into consideration before you 4-bet bluff, and it's another one of those things. Like, you don't want to go ham and do it way too often and just become a spew monkey. You really need to figure out the spots where villain's range is likely wide and he's doing it pretty weak. 10 deuce suited felt like another spot where villain could be 3-betting us wide, not strong enough to call. Okay to 3-bet. We turn 2 pair. Happy day. Actually don't think villain has a great value range here. Like, I don't think he's got a really good continuing range. He probably bets king queen and king jack on the turn, so hands that we would beat are like jacks and queen 10, jack 10. The 9, not the greatest of cards for us, counterfeits our 2 pair, and we just chop it up with queen 10. If he doesn't bet king queen in that spot, I don't like turning my hand into a bluff. Villain is likely to get suspicious and pay off a river bet with king queen. I'm not sure why Holdem indicator does that sometimes. Like, when I click it, it pops up and won't go away. So we turn the straight draw at the bottom left. In actuality, I'm not sure I love the way I played this hand. I don't like betting out with my straight draw, but I actually rather check call. I think villain checks back a fair amount of ace X's. With his, as a matter of fact, I don't like the way I played this hand at all. When villain raises a small on the turn, he likely has a hand that wants to get to showdown and not a value hand. When I hit on the river, I just need to bet. I just need to bet out for value. Bet 3-betting the turn is probably better long-term play than just calling the raise, but he gave us a good price because of his small raise, so I would say 3-betting the turn and then calling the turn, and then folding the turn in order of best to worst plays. Checking the river, it's not even close. I should have Donk led the river. King Queen, pretty obvious open. I think we can actually we can check back that flop. Ace King 4. Hopefully get some bets out of gut shots and stuff like that on the turn. Take a more of a pot control line to where villain can continue with worse hands. Villain did not have an ace because I don't think he folds an ace on that river, so likely did have some sort of flush draw, some sort of gut shot. Our stats at the top right table look pretty insane, but that's due to the heads-up play between us and the 1 seed. Not super concerned about the big blind at the bottom right squeezing with the ace-10 because the 1 seat protects us against a squeeze with a bad hand. The 1 seat stack. If he squeezes with a hand that is not good enough to play, but is good enough to squeeze with, most of the time he's just going to be getting it in with like Queen 4 off versus the 1 seat, which is not very good and something you probably would like to avoid. Folding the King Queen to the 3-bet at the top left. The villain is just playing very tight. I tend to give him credit even though it's a squeeze spot. And also the 3 seat is a short stack. So a lot of the short stacks will peel or jam themselves over squeezes. So a lot of things made me feel like the 5 seat at the top left had to have a good hand to squeeze. He wasn't messing around with 7-8 suited or ace 4 off. He had a legitimate hand, and King Queen off just doesn't play very well against a legitimate hand, a tight opponent, even though we do have position. Another thing that I'm worried about with a hand like King Queen, even though we have position, is, tight player knows what his image is. He knows he hasn't 3-bet yet. So even if he is on the light side, he's gonna be firing post flop. We're gonna be in a battle. So he's gonna use his image to try to generate fold equity, as he should. That's the absolute correct thing for him to do. So for all those factors, King Queen is just a fold, even 4-handed on the button with position. As far as I'm concerned, I guess there are plenty of people who disagree with me, I guess, but to each their own. This week has been especially good too, with the opening of my think tank course for the month. We're getting settled in. Everybody's partnering up, and we're immersing ourselves in poker. Today's session, I played for about 3 hours and just chatted and talked to the guys and got to know them, and developing relationships with the guys. It's I enjoy that. I enjoy making friends, and what happens when you make friends with people, you feel compelled to help them if they're struggling. These guys, no matter what happens in the future with coaching, they if they ever needed anything from me, they could reach out, and I would be there. So if anybody's thinking about getting a poker coach just in general, or joining any group or something like that, I highly recommend it. And you get what you pay for. If you set up a free one, the quality of the group may not be that good. And getting bad information or misinformation, it can be sometimes worse than no information at all. It's a hugely positive thing to have guys that know what they're talking about, that have beaten the stakes that you aspire to play on a regular basis for many years. Those are the opinions that really matter. I mean, if I can be honest, and if I were to post a hand on 2+2 or the Reddit forums or somewhere else and get feedback, it's really hard to know what feedback to value. Like, the people that I go to when I have questions about hands are my friends who play really big live, who have a long history of just crushing the game. Those opinions are highly valuable to me. So if you find yourself at a point in your poker career where you don't have access to people like that, figure out a way to make that happen, and it will just you'll grow in leaps and bounds. It's the most important thing you can do. 10-7 suited, not going to be strong enough to play against this particular villain. We would have 4-bet a couple of hands ago with the King-7 suited, but this villain he's loosening up now. I think he's used his tight juice to get some folds, and maybe his true colors are showing. Maybe he just got a couple of good hands quickly. Like, that does happen. People do get 3 good hands out of 6. Ace King at the bottom right. I went for a limp raise, missed it, and the plan was to just bet. Not really much we can do on a monotone board. Ace high, just have to bet to protect. We can't let a hand like a small spade realize its equity for free. A hand like a pair plus a little spade realize its equity, because they're going to have actually a fair amount of equity. Going kind of crazy with my with my mouse. If you guys didn't notice, I'm during this session I also had my group on the line with me. They were watching me play, asking me questions while I played, and so I'm doing a lot of verbal talking while I was playing, and apparently throughout that time I'm messing around with my mouse and doing the things that I do. I'm very fidgety. Queen jack off, easy open. If the button 3-bets us, we're going to be 4-betting him, especially a small 3-bet. Like, that's easy target right there. That's like holding a sign saying, please re-raise me. Now that's I guess what I realized, that he was holding a bazooka behind his back. My mistake, sir. You win. in case you're interested in watching my Twitch sessions, those guys are going to be in the mornings. Generally, that's when I play my sessions. I go to bed at 10:30 or 11 like a reasonable human being. I put my decade in of being a poker player and staying awake all hours of the night, sleeping during the day like a vampire, and no more. I play my sessions during the day, then I do things like make my videos, do coaching sessions, write articles in the afternoon, and then when evening time rolls around, it's laying on the couch, watch 1 or 2 episodes of Frasier, which I love, by the way. This is my Frasier plug. If you haven't seen that show, it's an old one, but an awesome one. No information with the ace queen. We could have floated, but I tend to respect a pot size bet on a board like Jack 8-6 from an unknown villain. We do block ace jack and queen jack, but still I still feel as if we're going to be facing more resistance than we can handle. In spots like that where I feel villains are going to be putting in a bet on the turn with high frequencies, we have to understand that if we float the flop, we have to invest in 2 more bets in villain bet pot. So there's going to be $70 in there, and he bets 62 on the turn. Are we willing to invest $162 to win this pot? That's a question that should be asked on the flop. We should not be floating the flop and then folding the turn to the $60 or finding ourselves without a plan. We need to have a pretty concrete plan on how to continue, and we need to realize if it's gonna be successful or not. And that's one of those things that you learn through experience and doing it. A good practice for somebody looking to learn is to write down those situations when they happen, when we do something a little unorthodox or apply aggression in a spot that we're kind of unsure whether or not it was the right thing to do. Write those hands down, analyze them. If it went wrong, find out why it went wrong. Like reverse engineer it. Figure out what you did wrong, what you could have done better next time. And then the next time a similar spot comes up, write that one down. If it went bad again, then write down what you think you could have done better, what you think went wrong. And just keep going and going and going until you have a really good understanding of those spots. That's how you go from, that's how you go from spewing off buy-ins to doing things that appear to be a little nutty, but are actually high percentage plays. It's because you're more familiar than most other people with those situations. They don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand why you're doing it. The people that try to emulate it are gonna try to emulate it, but then they'll find themselves putting money in spots where they have no fold equity. There's just no shortcut to knowing what to do in those spots other than, like I said, experiencing them for yourself, reverse engineering what happened, and trying to do better next time. And then just wash, rinse, repeat. King Jack at the bottom left. Gonna go for bet, bet, bet on brick turns and rivers. Do not consider the 10 of diamonds a brick turn that connects with king, queen, queen, jack. So no real incentive to bet. And no real incentive to call the river either. If he has a pair, he's likely to just check and try to get to showdown.
king jack 7 with our queens. We do have the queen of diamonds, likely 3-betting kings and jacks. We block king queen, so not a ton of value he can have. No real reason to be afraid of a raise on the flop. If he raises, we're for sure continuing. If he calls, then we can play check call on the turn. Got about 5 minutes left in this video. Like I said, if you enjoy my videos and you think they're valuable, which I hope you do, then check out enhanceyouredge.com, sign up to my newsletter, and get access to 20 extra ones. My treat. If y'all have any questions, comments, etc., I love responding to emails from people that watch my videos and have questions. Just feel free to reach out, Brad at enhanceyouredge.com. I have a Twitch schedule that should be coming out soon. My friend Will and I, and another potential Twitcher, my friend Blake, are all setting it up to where we stream for you guys on a regular basis. Just need to put our ducks in a row, sign our name to the schedule, take a blood oath to never miss, and then we'll start getting it done for you guys. If y'all want to check that out, twitch.tv/enhanceYourEdge. Gonna be playing on Bovada, some 400 and 600 NL. Wish me luck, send me good blessings. Going to attend the Star Wars movie tonight with my sweetheart. Probably going to be packed. I think it's probably going to be a little busy. I'm also doing a no complain experiment for 21 days. I recently made it to day. I can't complain or cuss. I recently made it to day 4 with no complaints or cussing, and then I accidentally said a cuss word. So I'm back to day 1. But I think it's really an awesome experiment, and if you want to do something that I think will, maybe give you a little more patience, help you have a more positive outlook on life, I think that definitely fits the bill. Deuce 4, 5, 6. Don't expect villain to be betting here very often. The 6 really connects the board, hits our range. We want villain to have to pay with his pocket 7s and backdoor flush draws that I believe will just check behind on the turn to realize equity. River, it's really tough to get value. I think the only way to get it is to bet kind of small. 50, I went really small. Even then, I couldn't get called or couldn't induce a bluff. I think 52 is probably a little better than 36. I think if we bet 52, then We can rep, like, I don't know what we can rep. It's hard. Like, it's really hard to get called. Maybe pocket sevens or eights, and villain can get a little sticky. Maybe he calls 56 as often as he calls 38 or whatever, but pretty trivial. No action with our kings to close out the video. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed my video and have a very Merry Christmas. My next video will be after Christmas, actually. So y'all take care. Have a good day.